Hello everybody and welcome back to the JP on Comms YouTube channel for another match preview in the National League following Maidstone United, coming off the back of course of that away day defeat to Wrexham AFC at the Racecourse Ground last week, a 5-0 defeat. The Stones are going to be looking to bounce back, and they have got an opposition where they may be able to do just that. The upcoming game, of course, at the Gallagher is going to be versus Torquay United, and that is who we're going to be looking at in today's video. Of course, the Stones will be hopeful of a result. Torquay have had a bit of a slow start to the season following their 11th place finish last year. They currently sit in 17th position, one place above the Stones, and they are only above us on goal difference. They have -1, we have -6, and if you look at their game so far, it has been pretty boring on paper really. They've scored 1 goal and only conceded 2 in their last 4 games. So let's take a little look at how I think this game is going to play out and what I think the Stones are going to need to do to pick up a result in this game. So Torquay started off the season with a 0-0 draw versus new boys to the National League, Oldham Athletic, and really if you look back at the highlights, Oldham had a significant amount of chances. I did listen back to an interview that was released I think yesterday from Torquay and their manager, and he did speak about how they did give away quite a few opportunities in those first 2 games of the season, and they did not really create many chances either. So, you know, looking back, they probably could have lost to Oldham. Really, Oldham did not take their chances. I think they might have had some chances off the woodwork, maybe one cleared off the line as well. So really good opportunities for Oldham there, and they did just not capitalise on that. So a 0-0 draw there for Torquay, a quarter of their points this season, and then they did go on to Halifax, and to be honest, I think they played terribly. I looked back at it, I've watched the highlights, I've spoken to a friend of mine who's a Halifax fan as well, and of course he will have a little bit of Halifax bias, but even with my own eyes before I spoke to him, I did think this as well. Looking back at their highlights, they had barely any chances, and my friend did tell me that they scored with 1 of their 2 shots during the game. So, you know, it's a little bit difficult one to take for Halifax there. They absolutely peppered them. The goalkeeper for Torquay apparently had the game of his life. So, you know, maybe a lucky escape there, but sometimes, you know, you've got to call upon some of the players in the squad, including the goalkeeper, to get you results at the end of the day. But their goal did come from a long throw-in, which is something I'd like to highlight. Of course, going into this game, the long throw from the left-hand side of Torquay into the box, skidded off the head of one of the defenders for Halifax, I do think, and straight down onto a Torquay player's foot in the box, and he did poach and he did score that goal. So, you know, something to be wary of there. You know, Maidstone team's not particularly tall at the moment, with of course some of our injuries. You know, Biddon Williams, Luque, Phillips has departed as well, so we do lose a little bit of height in this squad, but we have got a couple of players who can win the headers there, so hopefully a bit of an improvement aerially from the game against Wrexham at the weekend. But of course, after those 2 first games, they did end up creating a few more chances versus Bromley. They did have a man sent off in ex-Stone, Ross Marshall. I do think it's a straight red, so I don't think we'll be seeing him at the Gallagher this Saturday. However, they did also lose that game to Bromley, and they didn't look excellent in that game as well. I think they had less chances than Bromley, but Bromley are a team who are going to be looking to push that playoff spot, so I think they'll be somewhat, you know, not too distraught at a 1-0 loss there. And then they did end up playing, of course, Boreham Wood. Boreham Wood they did lose 1-0 to as well. That's their second goal of the season conceded. And again, to me, they looked a little bit sloppy on the highlights. They didn't have too much in terms of an outlet. They did create some chances. They have got some pace in behind, and that is something, again, that I'll get into a little bit later on in this video. But when it comes to conceding, you know, for me, sometimes their midfield and their defence looks a little bit slow at times. They don't always win that second ball. They're not always the first person to a duel. Sometimes they do come off a little bit worse for wear in their 50-50s. You know, they arrive late and they're then dragged out of position as the player's got an opportunity to get around them or pass the ball off. So I think that's something that Maidstone should look to exploit in this game. And as I said, you know, they've only got 1 goal this season, and that has come from a pretty sloppy defended long throw-in. So the Stones may not have too much to worry about. However, of course, they are going to be looking at our last 2 games and thinking, well, they've shipped 9 in 2. Can we add a bit more misery to that? Can we, you know, get another 1 or 2 goals to add on top of that for the Stones? But For me, I think Maidstone could do quite well in this game. Hakan Hayretin has spoken, of course, after the Wrexham game about bringing a couple players in. He also released an article with the Kent Messenger talking about bringing in 4 new players, and of course, some of those will be training with the squad now. You can't just bring someone in without seeing them first, at this level at least. So I assume we'll have been quite clued up on who we're bringing in already by the time that interview did come out. So we may see a couple of them, maybe 1 or 2 feature, during this game against Torquay over the weekend, and if not, maybe against Aldershot on Bank Holiday Monday. But it's good to see there are new additions coming in, and hopefully they can, contribute quite significantly to the squad. However, looking at this game against Torquay, if none of these players feature, it will not surprise me if there's a few changes, and I'll get into that with my expected lineup or what I'd like to see, just because of the last couple performances and what Hakan said after that Wrexham game in terms of if these players are going to be playing. That does tell me he's not convinced by some of the players in the squad. So my expected lineup and what I would like to see is as follows. Yusuf Mersin in goal, and the reason for that, I know he's received a lot of stick for shipping some goals recently, but I don't really think he's to blame for any of them. I don't think he could have really done much about all of them. For me, he's a great sweeper, and my tactic going into this game would be to play a lot higher up the field, have recovery pace in behind, and keep Torquay pinned back, focus on scoring, and just don't really give them any opportunities to create, don't give them any opportunities to come forward. And any opportunities they do create coming forward will hopefully be nullified by the back line I'm putting in place. That recovery pace will hopefully be there to cover us at the back. As long as Mersin is able to keep sweeping, we should be okay, in my opinion. I think Gavin Hoyt should start at right back. Of course, familiarity, great defender all round, Gavin Hoyt. And then I think we should have George Fowler and Joe Fruit-Alol in the middle. Again, sticking with familiarity, consistency from last season, carrying that forward. For me, these 2 players are a great partnership. And then at left back, I think we should have Liam Vincent. I think for me, having a natural left back there is going to allow us a little bit more confidence, a little bit more space, a little bit more time on the ball, as Vincent's going to be able to do things with his left foot a little bit quicker than Hoyt, who may have to cut things back onto his right at times. So that out ball is a little bit more comfortable in terms of playing it out wide. He's able to then touch that with his left, carry it on a little bit more confidently, and he's also got quite a lot of speed which will enable him to get back on that recovery run, same as George Fowler. That's why I play him down the middle. And then for me in the midfield, I think we should have Regan Booty sitting a little bit deeper, again spraying these balls out. He can put a challenge in, he can be a little bit rash sometimes, Booty, of course, we've seen it in the past, but he can get stuck in, and for me, he's probably our most suitable player for that defensive midfield role until we do bring somebody in. And then ahead of him, I'd have Henry Woods and Dom Odessanya. I think Henry Woods and Dom Odessanya could have quite a good game in this one. They're very high energy, very tenacious players, can get stuck in, can win the ball back, can play the ball relatively well at times as well. Of course, they both got their downfalls at times, but I think in a high energy, high pressing environment, we will see them both succeed, very hopefully, at least in this game. And then for me, I think we see Rory Deacon back, or I'd like to see Rory Deacon back on the right-hand side. Of course, his more natural position, despite his proficiency out on that left for us so far this season. A couple of assists and some great play throughout the season so far. I think we'll see Jack Barham down the middle. And then out on the left, I'd like to see Sol Wanjo-Smith. Now, there was an article in the KM released in which Sol said he was quite confident in coming back soon. It does seem like he's going to be back in and around the squad. If not versus Torquay, at least against Aldershot. And I would like to see him start. It would be risky, of course it would, coming back from this injury, but you'd like to think he's been training for a little while now and he will be comfortable enough to at least pick up a few minutes. And my strategy for this game would not to be deploying him for the full 90. I'd like to see him play just the first half really, maybe 55, 60 minutes at a push. But for me, if we can get a good first half out of him, really put the pressure on this Torquay team and just drain them defensively. If we can just batter them non-stop for the first half, whether we get a goal or not, that'll bode well for us in the second half. And I think if we use Sol down that side, we could pick up a penalty quite easily. We could pick up a lot of opportunities from corners or free kicks down that left-hand side as well. And all of that's going to play into our hands. And then in the second half, once Sol is no longer able to continue, we move Deacon over to the left where he's played so well and bring on Christy Patterson on the right hand side. And then they've got two things to think about if they didn't already have that in the first half, which of course they would do, as Deacon's a great contributor. But for me, having two really high energy players playing at different times on different sides during the game will allow, for me at least, Roy Deacon to pick up a lot more space in the second half. If Sol goes to the left, where's everybody out on their right hand side? Once Deacon switches over there, he's going to have more time on the ball, more space on the ball. He's going to have more energy to be able to create, beat players on a dribble and create opportunities for Jack Barham and Christy Patterson in the second half. And then Christy will be able to keep running that line, spreading the players out and hopefully create a bit more room for Barham down the middle. So that would be my chosen lineup. Not too confident we'll see that. I think there could be a new signing starting, but you never know. I mean, nobody's been announced. It's currently just about midday. The Stones, I've actually just got a notification. I've tweeted training time. So, you know, that's when I'm recording this one. No announcements as of yet. I'm sure we'll see some tomorrow. But that is going to be my predicted lineups. For me, I do think we're going to win this game 2-1. I'd be very, very surprised if we lost this game. A lot will not go particularly well amongst the fan base if we do end up losing this game. They've scored 1 goal in 4 games. I know we've shipped a lot. I think we've shipped 11 goals so far this season, but you can't really, excuse conceding or losing to Torquay with the goal scoring record that they've got at the moment. Their 1 goal's been exceptionally lucky, really, and they've not had a significant amount of goal scoring chances when it comes to clear cut. So I think we should win this game 2-1. I'd be very surprised if we don't score. I know they've only conceded 2, but I think with the high energy that we can bring to these games, we are going to be able to create opportunities and we are going to be able to break them down eventually. And of course, that home crowd, the fan base, is fantastic at the Gallagher. So I think it'll be rocking. I think that will carry us to a win. So do leave your predictions down below in the comment section. Do like this video if you haven't already. And of course, we did hit 100 subscribers during the week. I think it was just 2 days ago. I did tweet about it. And thank you all so much for your support so far. Just a couple months into this journey of mine on YouTube, and your support has been really good, really encouraging. And I do thank you all for subscribing. So if you haven't and you do like this content, do subscribe as well. Keep getting those numbers up. Let's aim for 200. And hopefully I'll catch you all in a couple days' time where we can come together and celebrate 3 points versus Torquay. And then on to the Aldershot game, of course, on Bank Holiday Monday. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.